Rory here, one of the designers of Voyages, and I'm playing through the solo version of the game today. So here I am. I've already played 3 rounds of the game, so I've started the game already. I've managed to get to this island here, which is worth 3 gold at the end of the game. But the main difference with the solo game to the multiplayer game is you have a fixed number of rounds to try and get to 3 legendary stars. Otherwise, you don't win the game and you lose. If you do manage to get to these 3 legendary stars by the end of the 16th round, then you can tally up your gold in the way that you would in the multiplayer game and see what score you get. So if you get good enough that you can win on a fairly regular basis, then you've still got your score to try and beat. So the 16 rounds are tracked on the windrows here. These spaces of the windrows act as a round tracker for the solo game. So you can see I've marked off 3 rounds already. So we're moving into the 4th round. I'm playing Voyages today through a browser on the website sketch.io, which is a free-to-use service where you can upload an image, just a JPEG or a PNG, and then scribble over the top of it, which is what I'm doing here. I'm also using an app called Dice by pCalc, which is an app on the Mac App Store. It's just a dice rolling simulator. I've got some physical dice here, but I thought for the purpose of this playthrough, I'll use a digital roller so you can see the results on screen. So effectively I'm playing Voyages entirely digitally here. Okay, so I'll explain the rules a little bit as we go along. Hopefully you've had a look at the campaign page and you've got a bit of an idea how it works, but this is specifically the solo game. Everything is as it is in the multiplayer game, other than the round tracker. So there is a way to definitively lose the solo game. Hopefully we won't do that today. So the first thing we do at the start of a round is we mark off the next space on the round tracker. Then we roll the dice. So I've got a 4, a 5 and a 6. There's a bit of glare on that dice, but hopefully you can see a 4, a 5 and a 6. So in Voyages, you use 2 of the dice for your ship movement, specifically your direction and speed. And then the final dice is used for completing duties on your duties board. And when you complete rows or columns on this board, you gain the benefits of that row or column. So it's a way to get new items, and in the case of this row along here, it's also a way to gain a legendary star, which is one of the one way to gain legendary star. Remember, we need at least 3 by the end of the 16th round to be for this to be considered a victory. So when looking at those dice results, a 4 would send me north in terms of direction. Sorry, south, the opposite of north. When I look at this windrow, so 4 would send me south, 6 would send me northwesterly, up in this direction, and the 5 would send me southwesterly, so down in this direction. So I've got a few options about where I want to start heading to. I think, let's have a think about this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 6 and the 5 as my ship movement. So 6 is this direction and 5 would take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm close to this island here, which will score me some more gold, but only if I can win the game. And then with the 4, I'm going to be slightly get ahead of the game. I'm going to use a sailor. So the sailors let you modify the dice by plus or minus 1. And you can use as many or as few as you want on a turn, as long as you've got them. So I've crossed off one of the 7 that they've already got. You start with 6, and I gained a 7th on my first turn by ending my turn there. So I'm going to use a sailor to turn the 4 into a 3, so I can mark off this space here and gain myself a gem. Now the gems can be sold at settlements. So this island with this icon here for gold. And they can also, if I can get a complete set of gems and sell them at settlement, that will also gain me a legendary star. So that's what I'm thinking about here, is that's another way to gain a legendary star to try and complete my quota to win the game. So when you hit a settlement, you can sell all of one type of cargo. So I can sell all of the gems if I had them, or you can sell up to one of each piece of cargo. So you can diversify a bit, which will also score you some gold, but won't help you with those legendary stars. Okay, let's go on to the next round. I've got a 1, a 2 and a 4. So a 1 is the direction that sends me north. 4 would send me back south again. And a 2 would send me in this direction here. So hitting this island would be nice because it would be 6 gold at the end of the game, providing I can win. And I could use either the 2 or the 4 for speed. So the 1 would be the direction, use either the 2 or the 4 for speed, because you stop when you hit an island or the edge of the map. So it doesn't really matter which of those I would use for speed. The only thing that matters is what I might want to use the other dice result for my duties. And I think, yeah, I think I'm going to use the 1 and the 4 for speed, for ship movement, and then the 2 I'm going to use to mark off this space here. So I'm thinking about this long row across the middle, trying to complete that, because that will get me a legendary star. It will also get me a piece of wild cargo, so perhaps it would help me complete this set. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, let's go on to the next round. I've got a 3, a 4 and a 5. So 4 would send me back in this direction. You can travel over lines that you've already drawn. You can retrace your steps if you like. The only restrictions to movement are you always travel the number of spaces of the dice that you've picked, unless you hit an island, as I did on the previous turn, or the edge of the map. So 4, a 3 and a 5. So I think I'm going to use the 5 and either the 3 or the 4 as speed. So I'm going to use the 5 as direction, and I'm going to use the, so I'm going to travel here, and I'm going to use the 3 as my duties. So I've ended my turn on this icon here, which gains me another sailor. Sailors, as I've mentioned before, help me to modify the dice. But also if I can gain a big enough crew, so if I can gain another 1, 2, 3, 4 sailors before the end of the 16th round, that will gain me another legendary star. So that's another way I can gain legendary stars. So already I'm thinking perhaps I could get legendary stars from selling cargo, from completing this duties, and from gaining sailors. Other ways I could do it are defeating the Dread. The Dread requires heroic sailors, so this icon in the sea, this relic, this goblet, upgrades existing sailors into heroes, and they are needed. You need 2 of those to defeat the Dread. Also gets you 14 gold, so that's pretty good, but I haven't got any heroes at the moment, so I'm not thinking about that as something on my agenda really. And then the other way to get a legendary star is to visit this spot right over here, which is something maybe I could do, but I'm obviously quite far away from it at the moment. Okay, let's go on to the next round. I've got a 2, a 3 and a 6. So a 2, I could head back to this island. You can revisit islands that you've been to. You don't gain the gold, you only gain the gold once. Or in the case of these settlements, you can only sell cargo once. So there's not really any tangible benefit from me visiting that island again. A 3 would send me back in this direction, which is not too bad. and a 6 would send me off the map, which effectively I wouldn't move anywhere if I picked that as my direction. I think I'm going to choose the 3 and the 2 to travel here. And then I'm going to use the 6 as my duties, so I'm filling off another item on this row here, and also that's helping me contribute to this column, which is a heroic sailor, which would be handy. Because as well as helping you to defeat the dread, the heroic sailors also allow you to treat any die result as any number. So you can cross off a heroic sailor and treat any die as any number effectively. So that's really handy if you're after a particular number for duties or after a particular number for helping you move around. Okay, so we're halfway through the game now. I haven't got any of the legendary stars I need, but I am working towards some, so you know, we'll see how it goes. So I've got a 2, a 3 and a 4. I could go back to the start island. Again, there's no massive benefit from doing that, other than positional. I could hit this settlement and sell this 1 gem that I've got. Do I want to do that? No, I think I am going to... I'm going to use one of my sailors. Use one of my sailors to turn my 3 into a 2, and I'm going to move to this spot here. Perhaps that's a wasteful use of a sailor, but what I'm thinking with this spot here is it puts me in striking distance of this symbol here, which is a wild piece of cargo, and I'd really like that to help me complete this gem set to help towards that legendary star. So I've used the 2 and the 3 is a 2 to move here, and then the 4 I'll cross off here. Very close to completing this row, which is great. That's another wild piece of cargo, so that will also help me complete that set. Okay, let's roll the dice again. A 2, a 4 and a 1, so that's pretty perfect for me. I'll use the 2 and the 1 to travel north, and then the 4 I'm going to actually use a sailor to make that a 5. Very close to finishing that now. I've ended my turn on a wild piece of cargo, which I'm going to choose to be a gem. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. As we are getting closer to the end of the game now, but I'm working towards a couple of different legendary stars. So yeah, let's see how we go. A 2, a 3 and a 5. Okay. So let's think about this. Yeah, I'm going to burn through some sailors again. I'm going to use the 3 as direction. I'm going to modify the 5 to be a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason being is that that puts me in line of this settlement, which I'd very much like to hit on my next turn if I can. And I'm going to use another sailor. So remember, you can use as many sailors as you want in a turn, providing you have them, to modify the 2 into a 1, which completes this row. Gains me my first legendary star, which is great. And also gains me a wild piece of cargo, which I'm going to take as a gem. So I haven't gained that legendary star yet. I need to sell this cargo before I can gain that, but I've got it ready to sell, and I'm within sight of this island here, so that's pretty good. Okay, to the next round. Got a 1, a 4 and a 5. Yeah, let's use another sailor again to turn the 1 into a 2. And then I'll use the, let's have to think about this. 1 into a 2, whether I use the 4 or the 5 as speed. I think I'll use the 4 to hit this island, and then I'll use the 5 here. Okay, so I've hit this island. I can sell all of this cargo, which will gain me all this gold if I can win the game. More importantly for me though, I gain another legendary star, so 2/3 of the way to the end. And every time you visit a settlement, regardless of whether you sell or not, you gain a sailor, which is good because it gives me, replaces the one that I used on that turn, and it also helps me towards maybe gaining this legendary star. So perhaps that's where I get my 3rd legendary star from. Let's roll the dice again. A 5, a 6 and a 6. So that's back in this direction or in this direction. I did want to be heading more east because I was thinking about maybe going for this legendary star. Now I'm a bit closer to it. And also I'm working towards a few relics in the duties, and if I can gain those relics I can turn my sailors into heroes and maybe defeat the dread, which would be pretty handy. But neither of those, or sorry, none of those dice results let me move in that direction. So what do we want to do? Yeah, I'm going to burn through a couple of sailors again. So I mean, Voyages is very much a managing your sailors as a resource style of thing. You can see here, the start of the game, I was fairly conservative with them. The last few turns I've used quite a few. I'm going to use 2 more now. I'm going to turn one of my 6s into a 1 because the dice wrap. So they wrap around, so the 6 can become a 1. And then I'm going to turn the 5 into a 4, which puts me up here. And then the final 6, I'm going to cross off decisions. I think I'll cross off this one here. So the dice are sort of informing my strategy a bit. I was thinking about the dread, I was thinking about this legendary star. Now I'm thinking perhaps I'll go for sailors to get my final legendary star. So I've gained another sailor there, so I only need 2 more, and I'm working towards 1 here and 1 here. So it feels like that's a very possible way I could gain my final legendary star, by building a big crew. Let's go on to the next round. And you can gain more legendary stars than you need, so I could, in theory, gain more than the 3 that I need, providing I can do it before the end of the game. And they gain additional gold, so you get 3 gold for every legendary star, so it's an additional 3 gold to my score if I could gain another one, which is pretty good. Okay, we've got a 3, and a 6. So I could use the 3 and the 6 to head in that direction, putting me close to that legendary star. I would have liked either a 2 or a 1 to gain another sailor, so I think I will probably do that and modify the dice for my duties. So a 3 and a 6. It's a very bad line. Puts me here. And then I'm going to use a sailor to turn one of those 3s into a 2. And I'm going to pick this one specifically because that's also contributing to this row, which is a sailor and a heroic. So that's pretty good. Or a sailor and an upgrade rather. Gained another sailor. So I'm very close to fulfilling this legendary legendary star, and also I'm quite close to this one too, so I've got some options for the next round. A 5, a 5 and a 4. I would have liked a 1, so I could head north. And I would have liked another 1 for to complete this column here. Let's have a think about this. So do I burn through sailors to get to there? So I could use both of my sailors that I've got left, turn one of the 5s into a 1, which would put me there. I would gain my final legendary star. I would have won the game. But is that the best way to try and maximise points? Or sorry, gold rather, at this stage? Because I feel pretty confident I can win the game. I've got a few routes to victory now. But it's just about trying to make sure I can maximise gold for the end of the game. Because I haven't done great in terms of scoring. I've done well in pursuing legendary stars, but in terms of trying to score well, I've not done great. Yeah, let's do it. I might have painted myself into a corner for the final rounds, but let's see. So I'm going to turn that 5 into a 6. Into a 1, and then I'm going to use the other 5 as speed, which will put me up here. And then I'm going to use the 4. This completes this column, but unfortunately I haven't got a sailor to make heroic, so I don't get that bonus, which is a bit sad, but never mind. Right, next round. I've got a 3, a 4 and a 6. Well, the 4 is nice to see because that's one of the directions I can travel. I could also head up this way with the 6. I'd like to hit this island for 8 gold. I'm just trying to think about what would be the best way of doing that. The 6 and the 3 would put me there, which wouldn't allow me to do that. If I had a sailor, I would perhaps use the 6 and the 3 and modify the 3 to a 2 to end my turn here. I'm in striking distance of that 8 gold island. Or what I think I'm going to do is try and get into this unexplored ocean region, because that will gain me an extra 3 points as well. Not as good as 8, but like I said, if I had sailors I would be able to do that. I sadly don't. So yeah, let's do that. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 and the 6, and the 3 I will use to fill in. Oh, I forgot to fill out that legendary star from the last round. The 3 I will fill in this box here, and then we'll go into the final round. So we've got a 3, a 5 and a 6. That's great. Actually, that's really great, because what I can do is use the 5 and the 3 or the 6 to hit this island here. At this point, the 6 or the 3 on duties doesn't really make a difference, because I can't complete anything. Let's just use this one for argument's sake. But I've hit this island. I've got nothing to sell to this settlement because I've got no cargo, but I can recruit a final sailor, which will allow me to circle my next legendary star, which is an extra 3 points. So I didn't get this 8 points one that I wanted to get, but I did gain 3 points from going into this unexplored area, and I got another legendary star from recruiting a sailor, which is another 3 points. So that's the end of the game. I've officially won the solo game, but got to add up my score now, add up my gold. So the first thing we look at is island gold total. I visited this island, 6, this one 3, so that's 9. 9 in total. I travelled to 3 unexplored areas of ocean, 1, 2, 3, which is 6 points. I sold 12 gold's worth of cargo. You add up these numbers here. I didn't gain any heroic sailors. I didn't have any heroic sailors left over, so I get no points for that. I didn't defeat the dread, so I get no gold for that. And then I got 12 gold for my legendary stars, because you get 3 gold per legendary star. So I'll add up the points now. 18, 27, 29, 39. That's a pretty poor score. But I did win the game, so that was the main thing. But I probably could have done better with a bit of better management of my sailors and a bit more forward planning, perhaps. So that's the solo mode of Voyages. I hope that was an informative run through. You can find out a bit more about the solo mode and indeed the game itself on the Kickstarter page. Yeah, I'll see you later.